Hello everyone, welcome to another video. So for this video, we're going to create a chatbot RAG AI application. So what this one will do is allow you to actually query a document and obviously go on AI. AI can do a lot, but it can actually hallucinate. So what we are trying to achieve here is to use our own data to ground the answers that the AI provide in a nutshell. So basically, you ask the questions and get an instant answer in plain English. So that's exactly what we're going to build. Right. So in this video, I'll show you how you can build this yourself from scratch using Microsoft Azure. No prior AI experience needed. And I'm going to show you how you can get it deployed with using real world Azure resources. So let's get to it. What we are actually building here, the technical name is a RAG system. That stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation. But forget about the fancy name. Here is the simple idea. Imagine you hand a book to a really smart friend. They need the whole thing. Then you can ask them anything about it. That's what our robot is going to do. It does three things. First, it reads the documents. Second, it stores what is reading in a kind of memory library. And third, when you ask questions, it look up the right pages and use the AI brain to give you answers based on your document. The last part is the magic. It's called the grounding. The AI answers from your facts, not random stuff from the internet. That's what companies love, and you can trust the answer. We're going to build this using two Azure services working as a team. So the first one is the Azure OpenAI. So the Azure OpenAI gives us the smart brain, and the Azure AI search is a memory library. So let me show you how to put the whole thing together step by step. So before we start, here's what we need. Don't worry, most of them are free. So one, a computer. So either you're running a Mac or a Windows PC, that will do. And the second one is a Python, which is free. And the third one is an Azure account. This one need a credit card, or if you and also you have to be 18. That's one of the prerequisites. You cannot be under age of 18 to get the Azure account. The costs are going to be tiny for a project like this. So we are talking about cents, but always keep an eye on it. And for a document to test with. So I'm going to use a PDF of a CV, but if you could use a story, a report, or anything with real text in it. One quick heads up. The tools we are using update really often. That's the nature of this sort of beast. The AI world, things move very fast. So if a button on the screen looks slightly different when you follow along, don't panic. Just look for something similar. So all right, let's start building. So the first thing we'll do is, let's download our Python application. So open up a browser and just type in python.org. So once you go to python.org, you scroll down to the download section and simply click and download the latest Python binary. So I'll click on this and then I'll look for the installer. So once you scroll to the bottom, you should see all the files you can install. I'm on a Windows computer, so I'll simply click on download the Python install manager. Once you click on it, you can scroll down and then click on download the installer. So that should initiate the installing. So that I've started the download the application is done successfully. So I can simply click on it to start the deployment. So click on install Python to initiate the installation. All right, so simply follow through the screen prompt. So I'll just select yes. So I'm going to add a directory to the path. So just select yes again, and then I'll proceed with the installation by selecting yes again, and the installation will begin. All right, so view online help. So I'm just going to view the online help, but if you want, you can skip that. So this should open up a web browser, and I think you open up on my other screen. So I'll quickly check to make sure that the installation has been done successfully. So I'm just going to bring up a terminal. So simply type in terminal, bring up the terminal, and then I can simply type in Python space hyphen version. And there you go. You see the version I install is definitely installed successfully. So that's the first thing we need to do in terms of the installation. Now, let's make a home for our project. I will make a MK directory. So I'm just going to type in the command mkdir, and then I'll make a directory with Azure Chat Robot. I'll click on that, and then I'll cd into it. So Azure, cd into Azure Robot. So now I'm in my directory. There's nothing inside, and that's where we're going to have all the various files that we're going to download or going to use for this specific project. So the next thing is we're going to install a bunch of helpers tools that do the heavy lifting. So I'll paste one long command, but don't worry, it will be in the description so you can copy it as well. So I'm just going to paste the command here. So real quick, so what do these do? So I have the line chain. So the line chain is a glue that holds everything together. The OpenAI one connects to our brain, and the Azure search one connect to our memory. These are helpers for reading PDF, one for providing one for proving who you are, and one for handling our secret password. So these are all the things you're going to simply install using Python. So all we need to do is just click on enter, and then that will start to do the deployment. All right, so the installation has been done successfully. So now let's move on to the fun part by heading over to portal.azure.com. So I'm just going to bring up my browser again. So here's my browser. I've got my portal.azure already open. So if you don't have yours open, just bring it up. And what we're going to do is we will go to, first of all, install the OpenAI, so Azure OpenAI. So to do this, let's click on the menu icon here and click on create a resource. So this should take you to the create a resource page, and then you simply type in Azure OpenAI. So I just type in Azure OpenAI and then press enter. All right, so here we are. So we're going to use this one here. There you get multiple ones coming up, but make sure you select the one that have Microsoft as the vendor. All right, so I'm just going to click on create. So I'll hit on create here and click on Azure OpenAI, and this will take me to the OpenAI creation blade. So here you choose your subscription. You select what subscription you want to use for this deployment. So once you select that, then you set up your resource group. Resource group up. So I'll click on create new resource group, and I'll name this one as Robot Lab. And then I'll click on OK. Then you move to the next section. So here you can give it a name for your project. So I'm just going to name mine as my robot brain. So you can name it whatever you want. So the next part is the pricing tier. So it said the domain is already in use. So if it is in use, then you can select something else. So I'll probably add an S to it just to see if that one does not exist. So then I'll move on to the pricing tier, and then I'll select the standard SO. So once you select that, then you can simply click on next, and then next, and next, and then once this verification is done, validation is done, then you can click on create. All right, so I'll click on create. So this will start to create my resources that I'm actually deploying. It will take a bit of time, so this is a good time for you to subscribe to the channel if you're not already a subscriber. All right, thank you. All right, so the deployment is completed successfully. Right, so let's click on go to resources. So this will take us to the resource view where we can see all our resources. So in here, this is where our resource live, but I mean, at the moment, it's just going to be nothing in there. We need to now start to create our models that we want to use for this project. So to do that, click on go to Foundry Portal. So that should open up a new browser, and that will point to ai.azure.com. And here we are at the Foundry page. So this is a brand new page purposely for OpenAI and also for any AI models. So all the LLMs will be living in this specific page here. So now to deploy our own LLM, what we can do is we need to go to deployment. So there should be a deployment session. So if you click on deployments, then you can click on deploy model and select deploy base model. So here is where you're going to select the model you want to become the brain of the whole project. So I'm going to use GPT 5.6 Luna. So if you're doing this in the future, then the newer models might be different. But as it stands now, this is the latest models that we have from ChatGPT. So I'm just going to use the GPT 5.6 Luna. And then once you select that, just simply click on confirm. And that should start the deployment process. All right, so once ready, you simply click on deploy. So that will start to deploy our model. But we're going to deploy a second model as well. So this is the first one that we've deployed. The second one will be called the text embedding at 3 small. So to do that, we can just go back to the deployment page again and then click on deploy. So we can see the first one we deployed successful. So we can click on deploy model again, click on the base, deploy base model again, and we can search for the text embedder. So just type in text and it hopefully should show up. So we're going to use a small one. So text embedding 3 small, select that, and then simply click on confirm to start the deployment too. All right, so we're going to keep the name as it is, and I'll click on deploy. So likewise, make sure you copy this name, because we're going to use this one in the code or the script that the Python script we're going to use for our chat application. So once you have those out of the way, you simply click on deploy. Right. So I believe the deployment are all done. So if I go back to the deployment main page, you'll notice that both of them are showing successful. So that means they are successfully being deployed. All right. So what we're going to do next is that we're going to grab the endpoint key and also the URL. So to do this, we need to go back to the Azure OpenAI resources we have in Azure. So go back to your Azure page, and then under resource management, you notice that there will be an option for keys and endpoint. Click on that. This is where you locate the keys. So essentially you have 2 keys that you can use, and there will be the endpoint URL. So you need to copy all of these. So I'll copy one of the keys, and then I'll also copy the endpoint. So you simply click on the copy button here, and then you actually put this in a notepad so you can probably have access to it. So I have added that one to a notepad, and you also copy the endpoint. So grab the endpoint as well, and I'll add that to a notepad. Now the second Azure service that we're going to create is the memory library. So this is the Azure AI search. So click on create a resource again. So to do that, click on this one here. I'm just going to do this is in a new window. So I'm just going to click on that, create a resource. So I'm just going to hit on Control and press the button so I can open up a new window for this. So in here, I'll search for Azure AI search. So just type it in here, Azure AI search, and that should show up. Once that shows up, then you can click on it. So make sure you select the one with Microsoft and click on create. I'm just going to use the same resource group. So essentially, I will select this resource group here, and then I will give this a name. So I'm just going to name this one as my robot memory. All right, so that's all good, all in lowercase, and it's going to be in the same region. Right, so just going to scroll down and then just simply click on review and create. I'll also probably suggest that you change the pricing tier from standard if you want to the free tier. So if you click on this, you get an option, and then you can probably select the free tier and then click on select for cost wise, because this is just a test. So once you're ready to go, then you can then simply click on review and create, and then you can create this. All right, so for this one, you also need to retrieve the URL and also the key. So to copy these, let's go to the left side and look for security and network, and then you should be able to locate the key session as well. And in here, you notice that you have the keys here. So you need to copy the key. I'm just going to grab the key, and then I'll paste this one in the notepad. Right, for the URL, we need to go into the overview page. So click on the overview here, and we should be able to locate the URL on the right side. So I'm just going to grab the URL as well. And one important message here is that you need to make sure you keep this private. This should not be shared, because if someone have access to this, then they will have access to all these resources. So it's very important that you keep this one as very secret and private. So now that we have our keys and also the URLs for the endpoint we created for this, what we're going to do is we're going to store them. So rather than typing them each time that we want to use it, we just want to save them in a file. So we're going to save this in a .mv file. So to do this, we need a text editor. So I'm going to use VS Code, but you can use essentially any text editor of your choosing. So let me bring up my VS Code. So bringing my VS Code, essentially I need to browse to the folder where we have our files essentially. So what I'll do is I'll click on new file, and then just new file. So once it comes to saving, then I'll save it into the right directory. So what we're going to do is this. We're going to have the Azure OpenAI key. So I'll paste that one in there. We're also going to have the endpoint. So I'll paste that one as a new line. And for the Azure search endpoints too, we could have that one. So we'll add that one as another line here. And the last one will be the Azure search key. So I'll paste that one in here. So we then go and get our values. So whatever the values that you have, you just have to populate them in here. So I'll populate them in a key. And the endpoint, then for the search, I'll grab I'll have a equal to there, and then put the key in there. And the last one will be the URL of that endpoint. So once you have that, then you can save it. So in order to save this, let's press on Ctrl+Shift+S. And then let's select the directory we created. So to do that, I'm just going to go into my computer, this PC, and then I'll navigate this that way. So hopefully I'll be able to find where I save this. But if you can't find it, just simply go into the path here, and then you can see that this is the path to it. So I'm just going to grab this path, and then I will simply go into here and then paste it at the top here. All right, so that will take me directly to the folder, and then I can name this. So I'm just going to name this one as dot. So we save this as .mv, and then you press on save. Okay, so that has been saved successfully. So when we go back to the terminal, and now, so far as we're in that specific path, if we type in, let's say ls, then it will show you the .mv that we just created over there. So that is out of the way. So now that we have that one sorted, then we can proceed further. So now let's give the robot something to read. We will make a folder called docs and all, but we have to make sure all of them are in lowercase, and then we'll drop a PDF inside. I'm going to use a CV. One important thing is that the PDF need real selectable text, not just a photo of a page. A quick text is like if you can highlight the words with your mouse, then the robot can also read it. So let's do that. So to do this, let's first of all make sure there's a path is all selected, or you can open that path directly and then put in your file. So to do this, I can simply type in start dot, and that should essentially open that folder. So as you can see, that folder is open, so I can drop my PDF right in here. Okay, so I'm just going to drop my PDF in here. So I'm dropping it in there. And then if I go back to the terminal and then I type in ls, now you should see two files. So we got the .mv and also the PDF I just added. So once that is out of the way, then we can essentially proceed to review our script that we're going to use for the chat. So I'm just going to bring that up. So I'm just going to bring up the VS Code once more, and I will create a new file. So I'm going to drop the code in here. So this is the code. So do not be intimidated by this code. We're just going to break it down. So this is the whole code, and it gives you a clear structure of what the code is going to really do. So now let's look at this code. Right at the top here, these are the helpers tools. Notice a couple of these addresses: the test splitter, the classic chain. So these are the helper part. So on the second part here, the embedding section here, here we connect to our AI model, and this line right here is the one to watch. The deployment name. See how mine say GPT-5.Luna match your deployment name from Azure exactly. And you can also see the text embedder as well that also have to match exactly. So if your name is different, then make sure that match it up. So that's the main two areas that you need to be obviously concerned about. And then the rest of the code, you just can run through it and understand it. But it's simply going to ensure that we are right to go. Let's look at the memory session here. This part connects our memory library. Then down here is the actual workflow. You read the document, cut them into bit-sized pieces and upload these pieces into memory. We chop them up because it's easy for an AI to find the exact relevant bit when you ask a question. And finally, let's look at the loop part. So this is the final page. The loop is this loop in the chat. It waits for a question, send it to the robot, and print the answers. And if you type in goodbye, then it stops. And that's the whole thing. So let's run it. Okay, so I'm just going to save this one as chatbox.py. So to do this, let's use the Control Shift and an S and make sure we are in the right directory. And then we're just going to name this one as Chatbot. And then I'll save it. So then we can go back to our terminal and then type in ls. And then we can see that what we save is also here. So from here, we can run it. So to run this, so first we are in the right directory. We can simply type in Python and then chatbot.py to run that file. Okay, you can see that the robot is waking up. All right, so it's ready to go. So now that we have this, we can simply ask any questions and then it should give us an answer. So for example, I can ask it, what is the name on this CV? So I can say, what is the name on the CV? Okay, so it doesn't have knowledge of that. The reason is that I made a mistake. Didn't create the directory where I should put the file, but rather I place it directly into the same folder as my the files that I have. I should create a doc folder. So I'll go ahead and create a doc folder. So to do this, I'll keep this one running, or I can say goodbye or bye, and then it should close this one down. And then I can do an ls. Then what I'll do is I'll create a new directory called doc. And with this doc, I just want to make sure that all of them are in lowercase. Okay, so once created, then I can move my CV into this new directory. So to move it, I can use the mv and then type in the CV name and then specify the directory I just created. So I just type in docs. Okay, so that it's moved successfully. And then I can rerun the command, the Python chatbox.py to initiate the chat box again. Okay, so now it's up again. So I can ask the same question again. What is the name on the CV? And there you go. So as you can see, you can now give the name on the CV. I can even ask further questions on the CV like, okay, how many AWS certificates can you see? and can tell me that the robot is telling me got 3 AWS certificates and it lists them out. So you can perfectly see that it's looking at the documentation and answering the questions. So we got our own internalized AI that we've grounded them. We grounded the AI using our own internal documents. So if your organization, you can set something like this up, and then you can wrap it up with a web page where people can actually access it. And then once they query that, they ask any questions, it will be linked to the data that is in your for your organization data essentially. So that's it. I wanted to create something like this. Also, it helps you to also get a knowledge of how to do this. If this video help you out, you can subscribe to the channel. And one thing I will do again is probably in the next session, I might create an AI that will be accessible, a chatbot that will be accessible in a browser. So rather than using the terminal to query information in your documentation using the RAG, you can actually interact with it using a more user-friendly view, which is through the browser. So thank you for watching this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.